What is up, everyone? It is another episode of 10-Minute Poker Tips, and we got a special guest today. His name is Larry. He is the best floor man of all time, in my opinion, and he's also a heck of a poker player. Thank you for coming on, Larry.
Thanks for having me. What a pleasure. Anything that you're involved with, I'm a part of.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, first off, I just want to share how I got involved in becoming a floor. As you know, I was a player first
Yeah.
and obviously infatuated with the game. I just love it oh so much. I had a situation where a floor decision didn't go right, and I felt like a dealer was being abused in a specific spot. And this is a great way to create a healthy balance in my lifestyle. Instead of just always playing, I could find that balance to go ahead and work and still be in the industry. It was just a great trade-off. And of course, I have to share how thankful I am with my coworkers and my boss. I just am blessed with what a wonderful working situation that I have. So I don't know any other position that I could just find 6-week jobs 3 times out of the year and just jump in, work my A off. Can we curse here?
Yeah, you can curse all you want.
I work my ass off and then just get back to it and continue my grind. And if you guys know me and my conversion van, we love to travel. We love to have fun. When I took on this job, I didn't know what I was going to want more, being a player, being a floor. And now I realize both is just as important as one another. They help create a healthy balance. I just want to highlight how it is every player's duty to hold the integrity of the game at the table.
Yes.
I want everyone to highlight that as they're growing as professional poker players. If you do this for a living, it is your job to make sure that we are able to weave out those players that aren't meant for the game. You just need some money to buy in. It's very simple. Anybody can play. Over 21 and a buy-in, come and take a seat. But once you start introducing just a negative atmosphere at the table, it's very important to nip it in the bud as early as possible. We don't want that at our tournaments. We don't need that at our tables. We're here to have fun. And if you know, that's my number one rule, is having fun. And that's a piece of it, is when we're here and I get to host for you guys, my job as the floor is to make sure that everyone is enjoying themselves, right? We're here to gamble and have a chance to win a lot of money. And this is a blessing for all of us for a chance to play and have fun. Certain levels of acceptable banter that is allowed at the table, but a lot of people like to needle and slow roll and introduce these negative aspects of the game that are not so necessarily illegal in the TDA rules, but it's just unacceptable. We need to share that some things are just not okay and this behavior is unacceptable, and my duty as a player will fall along to be able to communicate that to a player.
Yeah.
But if I'm a floor, I just take it out.
Yep.
We'll remove them from the situation. I'll have a conversation with them. I'll try to address it the best way I can. If you wish to move forward, you must stop this. Something that I pride myself on is creating a really good atmosphere.
Yeah. One of the things I admire most about you is how authoritative you are about just jumping in and taking control of a situation. Actually, very few floor people just resolve things as quickly and as professionally as you do. So, man, props to you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Yeah. It's second nature. I just really see the scope of the tournament from a different perspective. I kind of take a step back. If I find any type of turbulence in the situation, I just go attack it face first right away. Just go right into it. I want to talk about a few of the rulings that I've had in situations prior. As a floor person, my job is when I come on site and there's a call, they ask for floor, I need to dissect the situation in its entirety, right? What has gone on? What has the dealer done in operation to control the table? What has the player done? I just need every single type of stat that's available at the time in order to make a decision. And I think it's important that if a player's at the table, they should speak up if there is something that needs to be added that hasn't been said. I'll give you a very interesting, simple situation. I want to share that the floor is always right for a reason. Why is the floor always right? Is because they're holding the integrity of the game no matter what the scope of the call is. So there will be times where TDA does say something, but you know what's the best for this player and this opportunity, and you just have to make a ruling that goes against TDA. And one of my favorite ones was the first one that I personally experienced where I was like, okay, table, I'm about to go against TDA right now, but I'm doing it for a reason. Long story short, we had very poor chips in a tournament where our 100s look like our 5000s, and it's like a dark blue versus a light blue. That set is very old. It's like 30 plus years. The tournament just started. We're at 100, 100. New table. first level, older man that was at the table that I haven't seen before, which is also very important. I know that they're not a reg, right?
Yep.
So this older man was sitting at a table and he put in 10,000 chips to open. I came to the table. I asked the dealer the situation. He said he just put out 2 chips, didn't say anything. I asked the player, what was your intention? He said, I was just trying to call. So big blind was 200, I guess. And here you can go 2 ways, and technically more than 1 chip, it's going to be forced to raise. That's TDA. We all get that. Even if he has aces, right? Like say he did want to raise 10,000 and create an angle, it's going to be nipped in the bud because it's an angle where he's trying to state that he's trying to call. I doubt that, right? Like we're playing 100 100 or 100 200 and you're just trying to call here. I'm just going to hold it as a call.
Yeah.
You're going to take that money back. It's going to be a call, and we're going to move on. I'm not about to make you risk half of your chips in a tournament on a misclick.
Yeah.
It's just not correct. Like that specific situation, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go against the rules. The chips are just so close to each other. Intentions looked very genuine. And for that specific reason, I went against TDA. And I was like, oh, look at that. I made a decision that didn't follow TDA, but I know is the right decision. I started looking at the game a lot more differently. And I started going against TDA a lot more, actually, but it's only in specific situations where you're like, okay, I'm doing this because the same thing, but now with a regular player, okay, right? So there was a reg that was playing that's in the room at all times, right? There was a raise under the gun with a jam off the button, and he's off the small blind that says call and puts in the call for that raise under the gun. Floor gets called, announced he stated a call. It's the player's responsibility to be mindful about the action at the table. He should know that there was an all-in over there. The same rules apply. I know him. He's never made this misclick before. He was distracted. He made an error. Other floors, if they call him, they're going to make him put the chips in. And I wouldn't be holding the floor against it for that specific reason. But because I understand his true intention and I know he's not angling here, and I know that he's a genuine person and he means good and he holds the integrity of the game in other positions at other times, hey, I'm going to give you this opportunity. You can leave those chips that you've already called over there. If you want to go ahead and place that call, you can, but those chips are dead. No additional action, no cards were exposed. For that reason, I gave an option to just call, and he elected to fold. So stuff like that's important. The rule does go one way, but there's a reason why we're allowed to go against TDA. It's important for the players to understand that. The floor is just always right.
It's very important for floor people to be able to make judgment calls like that, especially when you're protecting new players and amateurs. And I think usually when you do something like that and it's like very clear what's going on, most of the reasonable people at the table, and I'm going to say 80 to 90% of people are generally reasonable. They're just like, fine, like we got it, right? There's always maybe that one nitpicker that's like, follow the rules, and they themselves are probably almost like ankle shooters. But generally, I think everyone agrees.
That does happen.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that because what I like to do is if someone doesn't feel a certain way, I say, go ahead and finish your hand. I'm not going to, play your hand and take a moment to step up away from the table and let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so important for me to be able to communicate with a player why I made that decision if they're really interested. Of course, we all make mistakes. We're all, human, but like I could just do the best I could do at all times. In specific times where a player just doesn't feel like I've made the right decision, I say no problem. Also, push it up to the lead at the tournament, right? Push it up to who's running the tournament. If you think I made the wrong decision, go ahead and discuss it with a level up, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, I know that my floor staff and I work really closely together on making sure that we all agree on the same thing while we're making decisions on the floor.
Yeah.
If I decide to go against and they feel a certain way, and of course have the full authority to take things back and move it any way that they wish, I'm totally okay with that. The trust is there between the players and the supervisor, and then my trust is there between me and my supervisor.
Yeah.
Right? Like I just believe that they're going to do what's best. So if I happen to have made a mistake, I will happily apologize and we can grow and move forward. It is important when we are all playing this game to be mindful about like the golden rule. Be thoughtful of one another in situations where someone might need some time. Don't throw a fit and say, because we're all playing poker where someone might need to really think something out at a certain point, right? Extensive stalling, come up to me and say, look, this guy's literally just pulling the clock. I'll take care of it. I'll understand the situation. I'll act on it. There's that balance of accepting players for who they are, right? Like just understanding someone might need some more time or some people might have difficulty counting chips. Also, another important thing is working with dealers. Unfortunately, not all dealers are just A+, as I would love it for it to be, but there's people that have been working for 40, 50 plus years as dealers, and they just have their routine. And eventually, sometimes it's just time for them to go. Like they just can't keep up with the game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to respect the dealers that know what they're doing and be a little bit more patient with some. So what I really like is like professional players in a situation where they place an all in, they're going to go ahead and break their chips out when they go all in.
I do that all the time. That's right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I
And
actually, I
guess what?
actually just I'll count it for them and I'll just say it out loud every single time.
It kind of creates that space for a dealer to conduct the table a lot easier as well, right? Not forcing to go break down count chips, right? Like if all players could do that, it'll just make the tournament run smoother. Those little things that are very important